Hey there, fellow Oilers. Welcome back to the channel where we explore topics relating to psychology, philosophy, history, and biography. That's right, you've arrived at the well-oiled mind. Today we're going to travel back in time to the 1800s, an era when visionary thinkers were just starting to peek into the mind with anything approaching the scientific method. But before we go backslapping these prefrontal pioneers, let's just say things got a little weird along the way. Stick around to learn about 3 seriously controversial psychological techniques used in the 19th century. Number 3 will totally blow you away. Are you one of those folks who's a bit skeptical about today's psychological and psychiatric methods? Do you snicker when you hear about life coaches? Does transcranial magnetic stimulation sound to you like something Lex Luthor might employ to overcome Superman? Well, hey, you're entitled to your opinion, and maybe you do think that today's methods of therapy can be a bit out there. Well, wait until you hear about the techniques our forebears came up with. Let's buckle up and get started with 3 of the most controversial psychology techniques of the 19th century. Technique number 1, phrenology. And you thought the eyes were the window to the soul. First up, we've got phrenology. If you've ever had a friend tell you, hey, I'm smart because I've got a huge head, well, they might have been born a few hundred years too late. Phrenology was the idea that you could understand a person's character, personality, and even their intelligence by feeling the bumps on their skull. Yep, I just said that. Grab someone's dome like a crystal ball and voila, unlock their psychological blueprint. This science was promoted by Franz Joseph Gall, a German physician. Gall believed that different parts of the human brain correlated to different and particular senses and abilities. He posited that larger or more developed areas would cause the skull to have bumps in certain places. So, if you had a bump here, maybe you're kind and giving. But if you had a bump over there, oh no, you, sir, are a deviant. Well, given the day and age, not a bad theory. The problem? Well, there's absolutely zero scientific basis for any of Gall's notions. As comforting as it might sound to get your personality read like a line of braille, it's simply not accurate. Sadly for Gall and lovers of the bald among us, phrenology was debunked by the end of the century, but not before influencing criminal profiling and even some educational practices. It makes you wonder what things we're doing today that are utter nonsense and will give future generations a chuckle. My money's on magic mushrooms. Technique number 2, animal magnetism to hypnosis, because who doesn't love a good nap? Next on our list is animal magnetism to hypnosis. Picture this. It's the mid-1800s. You walk into a room full of people lying on couches. To a person, they draw in controlled, shallow breaths and lie completely still. Pacing the mahogany floor with the precision of a Stradivarius craftsman, a debonair man in a tweed suit and sporting a boss mustache waves a gleaming pocket watch in front of their eyes. Their gossamer orbs stare, transfixed, placid. Wait, let's make it even cooler. Imagine this dusky doctor of derangement looks like Anthony Hopkins, and yes, of course, he lulls them with a sophisticated, aristocratic British accent. Okay, well, in truth, it wasn't quite as dramatic as all of that, but hypnosis was dazzlingly controversial, but not as much as animal magnetism, its forebear. Animal magnetism was the brainchild of the German Franz Anton Mesmer. Mesmer claimed that people had an invisible magnetic fluid inside them. He claimed that he and trained practitioners could control it. Initially, he did this using magnets. Later, he abandoned the magnets and used, as Adam Crabtree says, quote, sweeping movements of the hands to direct magnetic fluid to diseased parts of the patient's body, unquote. These movements were intended to heal physical and mental ailments. Animal magnetism wasn't just a flash in the pan either. It lasted well into the 20th century. But most importantly, it provided the springboard for hypnotism. Some, like the Scotsman James Braid, a contemporary of Mesmer, even argued hypnotism had scientific merit in certain discrete situations, though many in the medical field simply dismissed it as one more bit of quackery. It was Braid, however, who took Mesmer's initial thoughts, pivoted away from the less credible ideas like animal magnetism, and established hypnotism as a legitimate therapeutic method. And just like boy bands and plastic yard flamingos, the thing stuck and is in use still today. Technique number 3, hysteria treatments. Oh no, my uterus has gone for a walk again. And now the grand finale of foolishness, hysteria. Oh boy, this one's got some serious layers to it. In the 19th century, if you were a woman and feeling stressed, anxious, or even just angry, doctors might tell you, "Relax, sister, it's just hysteria." The word hysteria actually comes from the Greek word for uterus, hystera. Yes, that's right. Many 19th century doctors believed that the uterus could wander around a woman's body, causing all sorts of chaos, from fainting to emotional outbursts. Not to worry, what wanders can be recalled, apparently. The cure? Well, some of the treatments were a bit, well, you decide. Let's look at one of the more common, shall we say, methods. One popular treatment was something called, quote, pelvic massage, unquote. And because this is a family program, I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say it involved doctors performing what they called manual stimulation with the aim of calming women down. Shockingly, many women reported feeling wonderful after these sessions. I guess I could see that. Thankfully, by the early 20th century, the world-renowned Sigmund Freud helped us see that hysteria was more about repressed emotions, not misplaced or prodigal anatomy. Don't laugh too hard though, because many medical professionals argue that hysteria as a diagnosis frustrated actual progress in women's mental health to the tune of decades. And here you were thinking that hysteria was just a Def Leppard song. So, there you have it. 3 of the most controversial and, let's be honest, wacky psychological techniques of the 19th century. From reading lumpy heads to animal magnetism to, well, what can we say about hysteria? I guess that's why we say doctors are practicing medicine. At any rate, if you enjoyed this look back at psychology's controversial and quirky history, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which techniques surprised you the most. And hey, maybe next time we'll talk about mind control, right? Right. Until next time, keep exploring that beautiful brain of yours, and remember, knowledge is its own reward.